We're working through over 25 video tutorials on the Singer Elite SE017. If you have a serger that even looks similar to this, follow along because you're going to learn a ton. Now let's talk about stitch length. So you are going to find similarities between a sewing machine stitch length and a serger stitch length. So let's clarify a few things. Now, if you don't know where to start, you're going to set the dial right over here to 2.5. That's about what a normal sewing machine stitch length is if you've got a computerized machine, it kind of turns on. Those are actually millimeters. Now I know we're not always fond of millimeters here in the United States. The rest of you, you're like, of course it's millimeters. And I have become a millimeter fan because I sew. My sewing machine and now my serger has stitch length in millimeters. So this is how we're going to work. If you have a thicker fabric, maybe multiple layers, you're going to notice that as you serge, these stitches are going to get closer and closer together. Even just the stitches that you can see side to side, the overlock stitches, those are going to get really kind of dense. And well, what's happening is on thicker fabric, you might be using more thread than you need to. And it's going to take longer for the serger to get through those layers. So you should always use a slightly longer stitch length. So when you're working on fleece, which I know a lot of you are if you own a serger, so go ahead and lengthen that stitch length to 3.5, even 4 if it's really, really thick. But what that will do is make it look like a normal stitch length when you're actually looking at the final result. Because of the height, that stitch has to still travel forward, and yet when it's so tall, it doesn't look like it travels as far, so you are wanting the serger to help you in that part. When I'm working on lighter weight fabrics like a satin or a silk or something very sheer, or even sometimes when I'm just working on a single layer of fabric, go ahead and choose a shorter stitch length, somewhere maybe around 2. See how you like it. You'll probably notice that stitches are a little bit more tighter, which same thing for a sewing machine. You use a shorter stitch length on lighter weight fabrics over there. So same thing, do that on the serger. Now, when we get to the rolled hem video where we're actually removing a needle, only using 3 of the 4 threads and using the stitch finger that we're removing to make that pretty decorative rolled hem that everybody wants to do, you're going to find the stitch length is going to come all the way down to the shortest setting. A lot of people like to have it almost like a satin stitch, and so by turning it all the way down, that's going to make a difference. If you're going to use some decorative thread, something a little bit thicker, chunkier, you're going to need to adjust the stitch length so that heavy thread isn't like laying on top of each other so much that it can't feed through the machine. So if you're ever feeling like you're needing to pull the fabric through to kind of get it to go, otherwise it's going to get hung up down here at the foot, just come over here and lengthen the stitch length a little bit so it's not kind of landing on top of itself as it's trying to stitch. But if you don't know where to start, what are we starting at? 2.5 is a great middle of the road for you to start off with, especially if you're using just normal sewing machine threads. Make sure that you check out our links below. We've got quality serger thread, makes a difference, so you are not having issues or thread breakages. That will make a difference. We've got links to the proper needles to use in this serger. But try this when you're ready to learn about stitch length. Take the serger and go all the way to 4 and start to serge. And then as you go 4, 3, 2, and then down to 1. Now, at a 4 thread, this will definitely not look very good, so I'm going to lengthen that back out. And I was just making sure I had my stitch finger back in, and I did. So here, this really shows how long the stitches are, close, and then really close together, and then back out to kind of a normal stitch length. So give yourself a little fabric, do a little sample. This could be part of your testing of your stitch length, so you understand which each of these numbers is going to be the best result for the fabric you're working on. At the end of this video, you're going to find a link to all the videos, the complete playlist of the Singer Elite SE017. You can start from the beginning and start learning this serger from start to finish with the proper and correct way to use it. Happy serging, everyone!